Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You've been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You've been so, so kind to me. And though the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God, oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn, no, I don't deserve, still you give yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, oh. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. So good, you're so good. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, no, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, oh, your love for me. Oh, your love for me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, there's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. And I couldn't earn it, no, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You father the orphan, and your kindness makes us whole, and you shoulder our weakness, and your strength becomes our own, and you're making me like you, clothing me in white, bringing beauty from ashes. For you will have your bride, free of all her guilt, and rid of all her shame, and known by her true name. And it's why I sing your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. You will be praised, you will be praised. With angels and saints we sing, worthy are you, Lord. And it's why I sing your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. Your praise will ever be on my lips, ever be on my lips. And all the honor, all of the glory, now and forever, belongs to you. Yes, all the honor, all of the glory, now and forever, belongs to you. You alone, you alone. And all of the honor and all of the glory, now and forever,
Hey friends. Hey, I hope your Super Bowl Sunday was amazing. I hope your team won or scored a lot of free throws or didn't spend too much time in the penalty box or the other team got a bunch of red cards or whatever sports metaphor you want to use. But all in all, I just hope that you had a good Super Bowl Sunday. Hey, I want to encourage us this week. I've been thinking about trees and fruit, and I love trees. And I think it's amazing that trees produce fruit by digging their roots down deep into the soil, taking the nutrients, and creating something that's so life-giving that when we look at a tree, we understand that its purpose is not just to produce fruit, it's to actually produce an orchard. Other trees that are planted as a result of the life it takes in from the ground. And that's the encouragement for us today, is just for us to examine where our roots are at and what we're digging into, because good fruit comes from good roots. I think everybody is bearing fruit of some kind, but it's going to be influenced by what we're taking in. You know, coffee, when we drink it, we can taste the difference in the profiles depending on whether that tree was on the lower part of the hill, a high part of the hill, whether that comes from Sumatra or whether it comes from Kenya. It takes on different flavor and different profiles because of the nutrients and the soil that its roots are embedded in. And that's the thing for us today. I just want to encourage us to dig our roots down deep into what Christ offers us. In fact, Jesus, he gives us this example in Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 7. I'm going to start in verse 15. And we're going to take this text and use it just as a way of examining what we're taking in, because I want us all to be bearing good fruit. And I think you want to have a good life that way too. He says to us, "Beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves." My first point already in this is, hey, listen, warnings are good. Everybody's bearing fruit, but not everybody's fruit is good. And some people are going to straight up lie to you. And when we look at false prophets, I think sometimes we think that we're talking about just preachers and teachers and that kind of thing. But in truth, I think we can have an expanded view of what a false prophet is. Just even looking at what are the influences around me that promise me life, and then to ask the question, but does it actually deliver on its promise? I think when we look at the world that way, we can understand that there's a lot of false prophets around us. And when God gives us a warning, it's not an attempt to kill our joy. It's actually an attempt to preserve our joy by warning us. It's an act of love. He says, this is how you're going to recognize those people who are lying to you. He says, you will recognize them by their fruits. He says, are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? And that's a beautiful image right there, right? Because the deal is you will produce what you're sucking in through your roots. Like who you are at its core, eventually that is the fruit that you will bear out. And in the same way that like you can't get figs from thistles, the fruit of your life will show who you truly are at the end of the day. And he goes on, he says, so every healthy tree bears good fruit, but the diseased tree bears bad fruit. A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Now, when we look at what's in your core, what is really you is going to be coming out and bearing fruit, and it's going to be observable, then it's really important. And yes, of course it's important when we think about our teachers and preachers and me, right? You should examine things that I'm telling you, because listen, the result of taking in those messages from people and the world around us and the environment is that it's going to cause us to bear fruit that resembles what we take in. And so it's incredibly important because the stakes are high. You don't want to be a diseased tree. You don't want to bear bad fruit. You want to bear the fruit of the Spirit. You want to bear love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Because as a result, these things, there's just no law against them because they're right. And so because the stakes are so high, it's incredibly important that we examine our influences and we examine our teachers. And here's one of the things that we should look for, right? Jesus already told us this, but here's what we're looking for. Does their personal life bear fruit that you want to actually receive from? Like, do they have something that's worth imitating as a result of their personal practices and habits and their own spiritual life? The second thing when examining, especially our teachers, is does the fruit of their teaching, the fruit of their doctrine, produce good fruit in the lives of other people? When we look at like the long course of someone's laboring, especially in Christian ministry, we should be looking at what do they teach and what does it produce. If you find that this particular teacher or influencer is constantly promoting covetousness or division or immorality of any kind, be very cautious, because what you take in through those roots was going to produce fruit. We want to have good fruit that comes from good roots. And Jesus gives us this really stern warning. He says, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. He says, thus you will recognize them by your fruits, by their fruits. Now, I look at this and I got to give us a couple pastoral cautions in it. One is when we're like, yeah, it's right that I examine my influences. It's right that I examine my teachers. It's right that I want to bear good fruit. And we're looking at the lives of other people. There's a really big distinction between having good judgment and being judgmental. And I want us to steer away from being judgmental. I think having good wisdom, understanding from God, and judgment to look at fruit is absolutely appropriate, and Jesus just told us to do it. However, I would totally caution us about making hasty judgments of other people based on the fruit that you see in their life at that particular moment. I think one of the amazing things about trees, too, is they produce fruit in seasons, and they don't always produce fruit all of the time. And I think sometimes when we're looking at something that could be considered barren, even, that the life of somebody just doesn't seem to have any fruit of the Spirit at all. In fact, they don't seem to be producing fruit. None of it. I don't see any evidence, right? My judgment actually should be kind of held back for a little bit and observe them through a little bit of the season of life. Because don't you know, like, a tree looks really different in winter than it does in spring? And sometimes when it's fall and after the fruit has fallen off and the tree has done exactly what it's supposed to do, it can look like, well, you're not bearing fruit, but that's because that tree already bore fruit and is now developing an orchard. So just be cautious about being judgmental before observing the fruit of others through a season of life. And I would remind us this, with the measure that we judge others, we are judged as well, because it's not just the people around us that are producing fruit, we're producing fruit as well. And others are looking to us and seeing if the fruit of our lives is worth imitating. And if what we teach and if what we model is actually producing life in other people as well. I think the final thing I want to encourage us with is, like I said, good fruit comes from good roots. And we can look at this message and make the assumption that this is just about doing better. This is just about being smarter about what we take in, garbage out, and all that kind of stuff. And this could be a real moral high ground thing where it's like, I'm just going to isolate myself from all the bad people and the bad things and keep myself pure and holy. Or it could be the opposite reaction, which would be like, man, you're trying to tell me what good fruit is? I'm going to be the judge of what good fruit is in my life. Both of these reactions I completely understand. It's just both of these reactions to this message of bearing good fruit miss the gospel. Because Jesus, again in John chapter 15, tells us that he's the vine and we're the branches. And if we abide in him, we'll produce fruit. But apart from him, we can do nothing. And so I just want to give us this really good news. Like, look, if you're having a difficult time bearing fruit in your life, I just want to remind us that, like, your extra effort in trying hard isn't going to be the silver bullet that makes you immediately, like, grow in peace. In fact, in order to grow in peace, to bear the fruit of peace in your life, your roots have to go into the one who has become our peace, who has broken down the dividing wall between God and man, Jesus himself. That in order for us to bear fruit, it's not just a matter of effort, it's a matter of focusing in and allowing our roots to go deep, deep, deep into the love of God, so that as we abide in Him, we can produce fruit. Remember, trees don't produce fruit by flexing them out. They take in what's good, allow that life to live in them, and as those things are alive, it automatically produces fruit. Let's rely on the Holy Spirit. And let's remember a couple things about Jesus. Because Jesus is the perfect teacher and the perfect prophet, He's going to be the one who gives us the ability to weed out the false prophets in our life. If we lack wisdom, all we have to do is ask Him, and He'll give it to us abundantly and without reproach. And because Jesus is the one who produces fruit in our life, we can absolutely rely and depend and expect good fruit in our life as a result of His work in us. This week, I think it's worth considering. Look around and ask, what are my roots taking from? What are they dug into? What's influencing me? And then ask Jesus, God, what are you saying to me? And as He reveals Himself to you, respond with a heart of obedience and with a heart of love, recognizing that even His warnings to us are an act of love. He wants to bring us life and life abundantly. And we get to have good fruit because good fruit comes from good roots, and we're abiding in the vine. So, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine on you. May He lift up His countenance and give you peace. May you be filled with the love of God. Go in peace and serve the Lord with joy. God bless you.